Hello, buddy, and welcome to 2025. A new season is abound us. A new season full of hope and adventure. Division 2, well, it's got upgrades. D1, upgrades. You name it, we've upgraded the system. We're happy to bring you the first episode of 2025 and Season 2 of the show. I want to thank everybody that contributed or left a review or just said a couple nice things about the Season 1 2024 edition of the podcast. It was fantastic. Joining me as always will be my co-host GG. A little opening statement from you before we get into the preseason episode of 2025.
I mean, last season was pretty good. I know we were discussing about trying to do some more off-season episodes, but unfortunately a lot of stuff happened and wasn't able to quite do that, so that might have to get pushed down the line, but we do want to make a few special specific episodes for some things at some point. Maybe that could be in between tournaments, but would give some insight on the league. But I mean, we're back at it here. 2025 season is going to be underway soon. Official kickoff for the league is February 1st with the first D2 match, but for March Madness, it's going to be February 4th, which is an earlier start time than what we've seen in the last 2 years, but going to be something that kind of helps pacing, and then we're going to also have the finale in March, so we'll see how it goes, but I believe we're starting this off with some some admin here, and just catching up on some off-season announcements that came about in the last 2 months or so.
Yeah, G, it is interesting. We are going to go a little bit about some articles we got, new entry lists. We're going to talk about, let's start it off with probably the biggest change you mentioned. The biggest off-season change we did was probably that new calendar in terms of we're going to start the season early, right? And the whole point of that was to get the D2 rolling where I didn't have to rush on the schedule and also to finish up before Thanksgiving, Christmas. Because that was a disaster, right? We don't want to go through that again. Talk to me about how that's going to change the game a little bit on that, just briefly on how it's going to change the game for the fans at home if they're just listening or tuning into the show, what that's going to do to the league, especially from the D2 side, because you guys had a lot of issues last year.
I mean, I think it's more of just a pacing thing with scheduling and whatnot, because kind of lets the season both spread out a little bit more, but also gives it to where you kind of have buffer room to make sure you don't have a situation like last year where Super League runs kind of deep past Thanksgiving and then into December, which is not really the goal of it. So I think with what we have right now, Super League could realistically end at some point in September, which is which was always the intended goal. So try to just kind of correct course there. And I mean, the best way to make up time is just add it on at the start. So that's kind of part of the reason it's starting early. I mean, it works well for the February flurry. Maybe March Madness gets a little weird with most of it happening in February, but hopefully that will just help pacing and yeah. And I mean, I think both divisions could definitely use help with pacing. We'll see how D2 goes this year, but I think that'll be a better year in terms of how schedule goes. Although right now entry list is 70 people, so that's a league record. But we'll see how that all plays out as we get going for another season with 2 divisions. But I mean, there was another change also that was announced with the tournaments also, because the February Flurry and the 5th tournament, which isn't named right now for D1, are now crown jewels or majors depending on the terminology we go about with that. KT, you want to give a little more insight on this?
Yeah, crown jewel, basically whatever we did in March Madness, we'll follow the same thing for T5. So that's a best of 7, best of 7, best of 9, best of 9, best of 11, best of 13. It's the classic crown jewel major, whatever terminology you want. 1-1, 2-2, 2, 3 power plays. And then it'll be the same thing for T5. Now, D2, we have the best of 11 for February 4th. Talk to me about why we made the change, and also the big change, too. No more BO5s, which I think is great for the league. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, D2, people wanted something for D2 more specifically to kind of try to add more incentive, more prestige, and I think throwing February Flurry as a major was definitely going to help with that and try to create a competitive atmosphere to start the season. I mean, it's kind of similar philosophy to how the Daytona 500 works, where it kicks off the year, people going at it right away, and yeah, I mean, it's, again, with the amount of people we have, it's definitely going to be a competitive field. And I think now with the elimination of best of five, we have the data to understand what the pace we can go for moving forward, and people also know the rules better. So at that point, I think it's better. I think it's best to try to not fully, but at least line it up a little bit more with how D1 goes, and eliminate that best of five entirely, and just jump with a best of seven one power play format, bare minimum throughout most of the tournament. So it's going to be exciting to see how a lot of players adjust to it, but I think a lot of people are going to be pleased with the elimination of best of five because it existed a little bit in D1 in 2023, but I don't think a lot of people really loved it. So hopefully that best of five can go away for good now after last season.
I can't wait for it. And it's better to have a best of seven. Excuse me, there. It runs a little bit more of a cleaner system to where the players that are in the amateur level or a little bit step down to pro level or semi-pro level with D1 can adjust when they get up to D1, where everything starts off with BO7 and then runs to the BO9. Of course, the BO11 is unique, right? It helps with February where it gives a little bit more of a different taste to the league, which longer games are, I know, a little bit tricky, but to be fair, we did do a best of 15 in the league record in D2, right? Because of the double elimination with Steven in background, which is really cool. So there is always that option, right, to do a double setting if we needed it. But I look forward to it. It's a one-time thing for February. It makes the league better. I'll take this one, G. Probably one of the bigger, more fun announcements we announced in the offseason was Grimland, and that really is a theme park. I think I would say you were a part of it, G, right? Maybe not all the time, but you were a part of, I guess, some of the pre-planning.
I was involved in the planning stages, but I mean, once we launched it, I kind of just laid back and let everyone else do what they, because that's kind of one of the things I'm less involved with.
Right. That is it's interesting because I guess I can kind of spoil it right now. We are in our first tournament of that. It's weird, right? Because last year we never had this. Usually last year was okay, preseason episode. We do actually have games running. It's called the KT Classic. I'm not going to get too into it because a lot of this is just lore information. It's big information. But it's basically a bracket style. I decided to do a new format. A lot of the formats there are going to be new and fresh. I have a point system with a bracket, and you accumulate points, and whoever's the top 6 points or whoever wins the 2 tournaments, and then the 4 best in points, or if it's 1 tournament winner back-to-back, 5 best in points, next best, we'll move into a final playoff round. That's there for a couple things. It's there to create unique formats, right? We could always maybe take a piece out of that, right, maybe down the line for the league. But really what the whole point of that is to make sure we get those players' activities up. Because you know the biggest thing with this league, it's activity, right? When you get eliminated, there's nothing to do, right? We talked about this in the offseason. It was a big point of discussion, big point of contention, and I'm happy that we did it. It is still a practice cup league. Don't forget, we still have that. We still have the practice cup once a month. Longer format. Brad and I'm host. But I really am happy that we are able to go in there and say, hey, you know what? We can give these guys more avenues and more leverage to play when they get eliminated. And I know really the D2 side needs this more, G, because a lot of the players there are new to the system. They may not get every game. There's only 4 tournaments. If they want to come to our place in Grimland, have a little fun, play a little tournaments there, and get some experience, it's a good experience, proven testing ground. Basically, the equivalent, G, I guess we both like, racing cars. It's basically our test track, right? It's our test track outside of the HQ, and we get to have fun with some formats and stuff. I think it'll be a good thing. Is there anything else you want? That's basically how I can explain it to the lamest terms. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think a test track's definitely the best way to describe it. And I mean, again, it's a kind of another edition where it's kind of optional, and I think you could also see a lot of players from both divisions kind of go at it. So I think I could see a lot of good interdivision matchups, which you don't typically see a lot, especially with how the divisions are formatted. But I think it's going to be exciting to see people go head to head, and it also could kind of create a little bit of a rivalry to see which divisions really kind of up to snuff at the moment in terms of the people who play in Grimland. But we'll see what happens, but first event's still ongoing. I believe it's just a simple bracket. Although let me double check that. It's
with points. With
Classic.
Points.
Yeah. Okay. With points. So
Well,
yeah, but there's gonna be like a million different formats. There's gonna be a lot of things that happen there. There's going to be some stuff that's similar to a bracket. There's going to be some things that are like groups into like Swiss bracket. There was even discussion of like a waterfall format at some point, although that's not confirmed. But there's going to be a lot of things kind of tested in there. Maybe some of them get carried over into the actual league, but we'll see how it all goes. But again, if you're listening to this now and haven't joined yet, make sure you join Grimland. You can find it in the we'll put the link to Grimland specifically in the description along with our usual links. But yeah, fun place to check out if you're interested in playing some games, especially if you're not currently in one of the two divisions. That's still open to anyone, so you can feel free to jump into that if you want to play it. And there's currently no openings right now.
Yeah, can't forget about the old classic, right? What did Alan say? We did one-shot challenge, best of one finale, 30 cards. You can't forget that crazy format. It's a wild place. It's gonna be a fun place.
Rather forget that format, to be honest. That was quite the suggestion.
Yeah, there's a lot of suggestions that are wacko, but you know what? That's really what Grimland. It's about testing and pushing the boundaries. It's not about the normal. It's about being and embracing the abnormal. I guess that's the way Grim. And we had a slogan: "Don't embrace the normal, expect the abnormal." Something like that. But anyway, I digress. Advisor expansion. We talked about this. G, you were probably the biggest. I would say proponent to this.
I mean, I definitely I was the one who suggested it in the first place, so I would personally say yeah.
I would say I'll give an update on how we went with that. Obviously, we're at 30 refs right now, which is great, including the commission. I believe we have kind of low on media. It's just Geo, Sky, myself, Cody Smart, who's made some headlines in ARD. And commentaries about 15, 20 people. I think what is it? What do we at stat? We don't have a stats number, right? There's still a couple people left to be tested on that. The stats.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of rolling in and whatnot, but stats is one of the more interesting ones because that one's not really necessarily open doors. You could try this. People got to know what they're doing beforehand before we jump into it. So yeah, that's
same thing with streaming. Streaming as well.
That too. Streaming is also another one that's got really restricted. But if they're able to do it, it's a big help for us. So
yeah, streaming. JT, Seth, the only two on board. Now remember, I talked to G about we're not going to open up the application again for stream. I think it's too exclusive. I think I'm just going to pick whoever. That's me. That's my decision at the end of the day. I'll see who's really into it and who has the equipment really. Well, I guess the availability. If you have those three things, then yeah, you're interested. We'll bring you on. But the other departments, G, I don't like to ever leave someone out, but remember, Caesar is a human. I think he is, right? He could be a robot. I don't know. But the way he does things, he trains so many people, it's insane. The rep department, we need an extra 10 refs. I don't know. We're always open to foreign refs because we don't have enough foreign refs. We could always use more, but American refs were pretty stacked. So we'll see what we'll do. I think we're going to do an advisory application, probably a mid-season one, maybe in the summer, like a midterm. I think we said something in June, May. Reopen that up, give that a little bit of a flair, and go from there. But your thoughts overall, G, on this? I think it's going well so far. I know we haven't made a big impact on it yet, but we've done some dry runs on commentary and reffing to get that going. D2's got some exclusive refs as well. Thoughts on the expansion overall?
I think the expansion is great because it definitely gives a lot of people who want to be more involved in the league a chance to do so, and especially with how many people we're going to have in the matches and whatnot, and also with how some scheduling worked out last year with some specific comm members and like a lot of times and slots kind of limiting people who could be around. I think that's going to be a great help to get an extra assist when we need it, and this also allows us to open a 24-hour non-stream window, which I think is going to be a big help for a lot of international players. So I'm pretty excited about that, but I think in general this is going to be a good change. You're going to possibly see a lot of it when we come to the actual league because you're going to see a lot of streamers who are part of Advisor Expansion with Turner and Seth. You're going to see a lot of refs that are part of it. It's also a good chunk of media as well and other things going with it. So I think it's going to be one of the biggest changes that a lot of people are going to see immediately, and I think it's going to be one for the better going into the future.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I think the fact that we get to have different color commentators and color commentary with different streamers and a bunch of, I guess, all over the map combinations is really cool. I think the media will be great. I think we already had a lot of momentum. I think, G, obviously, we talked about the Pro Check Prime Time with Ard. He did a fantastic job getting that up to speed. Me and him did a great job on doing a couple. You were part of that interview process at the beginning of the OG days. That was great. I can't wait, man. I'm cautiously optimistic. You never want to be foolproof on anything because that's how life is. You never want to be foolproof. But I'm cautiously optimistic. We're really gaining strides, and we could be on our track to something big. So I do think it's going to be good. A couple other off-season announcements I'm just going to put here. Obviously, we don't like to ever say this is an announcement, but we got to do it, of course, by law. We lost a couple people, right, that were supposed to get promoted. We'll talk about that on the entry list. Obviously, I guess we'll start with the first one, probably the most shocking one. Alex the Flame. Well, here's what I'm going to say about that, right? I don't want to get too much into the details about it, but I think it's a lesson on how to be accountable, right? You don't want to do something silly to jeopardize your opportunity in any capacity. And we always talk about like life lessons in this league, how to schedule, how to be a professional, how to commentate, right? Ref a game, be cordial, etc. All that. One of the easiest ways to be a professional is just don't act stupid in the office place, right? And for Alex, unfortunately, it just wasn't it. I mean, he had something going on with an off-the-count situation back in October. We never had a resolve till after Super League in December, but even when we had a chance to resolve it, we came to no sufficient evidence either way. And ultimately, he's got a 1-year ban. At least he had a 1-year ban. It's not a full-time ban or an indefinite ban, but it's a lesson that you don't want to mess around. We have the strike system, and I think, in fact, if we had the strike system for this exact incident, he probably would have been banned a little bit harder, but we didn't have it because of that 1 year, but he's on thin ice and thin leash. Your thoughts on that incident? Obviously, it wasn't fun to cover, but we have to talk about it. Thoughts on that?
I mean, that whole saga was kind of a headache because one of our biggest rules is you can't be trying to alt, and when that happens, it's kind of a serious thing because I mean, as much as we want to say like Uno, like there's a lot of like skills and whatnot you can learn from it. At the end of the day, it is a game that has a decently large factor of luck in it. So, adding another account would double your chances and make it completely unfair for the others. So, some people might think it's a little harsh, but we've been very adamant on this since day one. And I mean, if you break the rules, that you break the rules. And based off what we were able to find, came to the conclusion that unfortunately that is what happened. And unfortunately, kind of just throw away the promotion spot. So, due to how it wasn't an indefinite ban per se, although technically it was listed as indefinite ban with a 1-year appeal. But I mean, that appeal will probably get approved. So, I mean, I guess the lesson is just don't do anything silly to jeopardize something you want, and unfortunately, that's what happened here. So, we'll see how it goes for next season. But unfortunately, Alex's season kind of already came to an end before it even started, and hopefully, this will be a lesson for him. Not even just in this league specifically, but just kind of in general, to not do anything that could jeopardize anything that you really want. So. I'm hoping for the best for Alex, and I think in 2026, assuming he does come back, I think he'll be more motivated and more with a clearer mind, more mature going into this, and be able to fight back from, I guess, this setback.
Well, another thing too that comes with that, obviously, I personally have reached out to him. We will have a discussion sometime mid-season, probably May or June. I want to see where his head's at. Right, we'll probably have a full commission call like we'd had with the group back in December. We'll see what he's learned. We'll see how he's progressed. Just want to go through basically a basic checklist of how to get recertified back in the league, right? Get back his bearings. He made a mistake, right? We shouldn't just ridicule the guy. Look what happened with TJ, right? Well, I don't mind saying his name. It's been a year now, and he's still a person, right? And I wish him the best. I had a call with him recently, and yeah, he's not back in the league, and he's in a better place, but you do wish them the best, and hopefully that isolation will help. The other one,
yeah, because I mean, again, with these things, it's like obviously you're breaking a rule, but it's not like you committed murder or something like that. This is nothing compared to like other things you could actually do that are like heinous acts. So obviously, it's like no ill will to them, but we gotta enforce the rules.
well, speaking of, we don't know. It's next guy was Eli, and well, that is That's a harder one to understand and really digress into because there's a lot of intangible factors we're not going to talk about or discuss in this show. He also was not back. We were expecting him back by December, November, January. It just never came around. We ultimately, even if he was back, I made the point, made the valid comment. Even if he was back, we have to find out why he disappeared for 5 months. So because of that, it's just not safe for me as a commission member and as the league owner to put somebody out there. It could be, now I'm not going to say anything negligent. I can't say that word, negligent or whatever. But negligent, whatever. I can't say it. But it's alarming. It's an alarming situation that dated back to last April, and I wish him the best, but we just couldn't risk it. Now, what that did to the entry list was, we had 65, so he was 64 gone. It was fine. Then Alex had a problem. I don't need you to comment on the I think that was just whatever. But the one that's really just more of the Amelia Earhart, I call it. What happened to Amelia? What happened to Taslim? That is a gigantic mystery. I don't know what happened. I mean, obviously got promoted from the D2 champ. Congratulations, right? And then fell off the face of the earth. I don't have much to say about it other than that's what happened. I mean, I tried reaching out to a test session, never really got a chance. So in that case, hockey got promoted. Your thoughts on hockey and Knight getting promoted? I forgot about Knight. Them getting promoted for basically Alex and Taslim. And your thoughts on Taslim just pulling an Amelia Earhart, disappearing?
I mean, there's possibly a few theories with what's going on with Taslim. I'm not going to necessarily dive into them specifically, but hopefully she's able to come back at some point. But I mean, for Nightwalker and hockey, Nightwalker, I mean, won the Acoustic August to kind of clutch his way into the D2 championship, but unfortunately kind of fizzled out there. I mean, he had an incredible run through that. He ran 13-1 throughout his region. And then be a lot of tough competition to win that tournament. So he's definitely capable of making deep runs, and I think he's someone you got to watch out for as maybe someone who could be on that bubble. For hockey, I mean, he started off hot in D2 last season, but then kind of just regressed to the mean, and didn't really have a very great D2 championship, had a lot of mistakes, so I'm not necessarily sure how hockey's going to do specifically, but we'll see how that goes for him. And of course, I am hoping for the best because now that's gonna be a 10.5, I guess, because we'll always throw to Pierce that half because he kind of was a little bit of a weird case. The 10.5 D2 players going into this season, I'm hoping for the best for all of them, and I definitely think there's gonna be some that make a lot of noise against a lot of tough competition. So I'm excited to see how that goes, and I expect a lot out of them going into this season.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit when we get down to the couple other agendas, other announcements to make. Like just some small announcements on my end, other than the basics, right? With the whole Super League format, D2 Championship. We'll talk about that in a second. Other small announcements I would say that we made some class system changes, which we'll talk about. We also made some changes to the stream packages have been updated. Yeah, just basics. The cards have been. There's a new way to do cards. We did a 24-hour window. G mentioned. There's new waiver operational windows now, which means you could always play early if you have something going on, as long as it's a legit excuse. But the last thing we're going to cover, G, we already had covered this moons ago when we first came. I think this is the biggest change in league history from a procedural standpoint, the strike system. Yeah, it had to be done. I mean, I really think now with this, it covers our bases. If you mess up, we have a system, right? We don't have a system for T5 level strikes, right? I guess strike 5, right? T5. I'm thinking L5 with the whole penalty system. But
I think they got rid of L5. It's only up to 3 now. But
yeah. Well, I guess we're bringing it back. But we don't have much of a clear basis on strike 5 because that's really it's up to the commissioners. But strike 1 through 4 is pretty clear. You strike 1, you get a warning. I believe it's a half a strike for the D2 guys that are new. To be fair, I think for those guys that are new in the first tournament, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean it's just a verbal warning without the strike, but
they're new. We understand. It's like a half warning, but then strike 2, right? You lose the series 1-0. You start the next, you start the next series whenever your next series is down 1-0. Then you get a 1 tournament ban if you're really messing around too much on third strike. Fourth strike, it could be a tournament ban. It could be depending on the severity, could get a little higher. But you don't want to get to strike 4 and 5. You get to strike 4 and 5, it's in our hand. It carries throughout the season. So if you have 4 strikes and you get a 5th strike entering T5, you're not. You don't care if you're the number 1 player in the league. You're not entering the Super League. So that's another element we have to follow to make this league even more great. It's already a great league, but now we have this other element that's more off-table drama that we don't really like, but if it's warranted, especially for punctuality, we got to play a fair game. It's only fair to the guys that were punctual, right? And you got 4 times you were just not punctual. It's not fair to you that were messing around, right? So I'm interested on what's going to happen with that. It gives a little bit more of a behavioral procedure we never had before. Usually can get away with whatever in the past. Now it gives you a little bit more of a behavioral procedure. Hey, you got to stay on top of it. So, your final thoughts, Najee, before we move on to the next topic? I think it's a big change, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we've needed for a while, and I think just have it fully outlined, out in the open, just so everyone knows, is good. I unfortunately do think we're going to have to use it quite a bit at the start of the season for a few players, but depending on how it all goes, we'll see how it happens, and hopefully by the time we get to like tournament 3, 4, we won't have to be needing it anymore. And it's just kind of like in place to make sure we have something in case we have to use it. But I think this is a good but also needed change. Addition, not necessarily a change, an addition to just help with the pacing and just kind of the principality and just kind of like the mannerliness of people playing. So again, strikes to be given for no showing games, picking fights with other people, what's it called, like fighting a ref, being rude, like being like obnoxiously rude. Obviously, like some people get like heated and stuff, which is like, it's fine as long as it's like civil, but like being like obnoxious for no reason would get you a strike. But it's stuff like that, just stuff like just behave, pretty much. That's all it is. Yeah, I expect a lot of people will be ending the season with 0 strikes because they know how to act, but it's there for the people who kind of get a little out of line. And
also punctuality.
Punctuality too is an important part as well.
Yeah, that's the big one. If we're going to see strikes, it's going to be DQs. I think that's the biggest one. And of course, we have a 0 tolerance policy on alting. We don't like that. You do that, again, we now have a strike system. We're going to start enforcing it even more. 1 tournament ban is like, or 1 year ban is the light end of the spectrum. We don't want to ever do that again. So we're hoping never the case. But anyway, that's it for that topic. Let's move on to probably the biggest changes of the off season. We have some entry list classes. We'll start with the new entry. I guess we can announce the D2 entry list. We'll start with that one first. You want to announce that?
I'm not going into like the specific players, but there's 70.
Some highlights. No, I just highlight like 10 or 15. That's all.
Okay. Well,
you don't got to go into 70. I'll do that.
Yeah. Well, again, we have a lot of international variety here going into this. We have some debuting places that we haven't seen before, like Vietnam, Germany, Nigeria. We have our first player from Africa joining the league, so that's going to be very exciting as well. Then we also have some returning faces like Rune, Amazing Pikachu, White Spider. And then you also have some of the people who were demoted from D1 last year. You're looking to get a bounce back, like Aiden Smith, Fitzy. I know that's a big one. A lot of people are hoping a lot for Fitzy. Hopefully, maybe could revitalize his career, I guess, down in D2, because his last 2 seasons especially have been not very good, and the glory days of Victory Lane have long gone. So looking to try and find that back. Brando is in this also, along with the fan favorite Clint Green. So Clint Green, after being MIA for most of the offseason, came back in early January and is now ready to go for action. And he is sporting his new number 0, so that's going to be exciting to see how Clint does. And I know a lot of people will be rooting for him. And then we also have 6 or 7 players from England, which is kind of crazy. So that might be a little chaotic, and you're going to see a lot of potentially a lot of British warfare going on in D2. But again, a lot of diversity overall. Of course, you have some people from Canada, a few Australians, a of course, Philippines player is still. We also have another new country, Malaysia, which is Breath. Um, but overall, it's got a lot of exciting stuff. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I think the 24-hour non-stream window is going to help out a lot for D2, especially with how many international players we have. So, going to be an exciting season, and again, with 70 players, that's a league record. Going to be pretty chaotic, and the playoff format is still the same in terms of how many people get in 12. The restrictions on the LCQ are increased though, so we'll see how many people get that bar. Because last season it was 2, this season it's 5 or a Final Four appearance. So that's going to be a tough bar for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to have their season and after Tournament 4, and Tournament 4 is going to be a major playoff mentality tournament. So going to be a lot of pressure going into that one, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, going to be likely a very competitive season.
Looking forward to it, G. A lot of interesting people. We had some guys that got to, as you said, Fitzy, Brando, Sam England, A-Train Smith. He'll be a big one to watch. You've got the likes of Pikachu, right? Pikachu, White, the only 2 people that made the championship last year to not move to D1. We'll see if they become the favorites of the year. And as you said, the foreign flair. It's a lot of foreign people down there. We'll see how the scheduling is. It should be an interesting time to get those logistics out. Now for Division 1, well, we have graphics, so we're going to go through them. And, well, let's start it off with, I guess we'll start it off with the class championship change. The whole thing with that was, gee, obviously, you, me, and Sample were the original 3, I think. We made a mistake. We obviously said if you were the last man standing and you had the most wins of the last man standing, I guess you would call it, you would win the championship. Looking back, Tapir should have never won that, even though he technically won. Carson was okay. I think he had the best average finish, which we changed to for the overall. But it was just convoluted. Ypez was okay because he had the best average finish. But it was too convoluted. It was too wild. We decided to do some whole new revamp on it. So here's how this is going to work now. I have the document. Basically, it'll still be the last man standing. So, for example, I don't win March, but I was the last standing legend, right? Well, that means I won the March 2025 class championship. Okay, so I won the class championship. Great. But at the same time, I won the class championship, but I don't win the overall, because if I only win one class championship and I do nothing for the whole season, then it goes by average finish. So if my average finish is 33rd for some reason, despite my one final appearance or whatever, I'm not winning. Now I can still make Super League, but I'm not winning the class championship. Basically, you have to be consistent through all 5 tournaments. If you're not consistent, you're not winning, basically. That's the whole thing. We'll have a link to this maybe in the... no link. It's in the Discord, it's in the handbook. But we do have some other things we're going to talk about with the class championship, but that's the basic thing with that. If you want to win the championship, you have to go be consistent every tournament. Because if you're the last man standing in all 5 tournaments, that's great. You probably win it. But if you're the last man standing in only 2, and you crap the bed in 3 other ones, are you really the deserving winner? No. And really, this was because of the rookie class being so stacked last year. We never had a clear winner. Your thoughts on this change? It needed to be done. The fact we hadn't done it and let it overslip was crazy. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the format we had last season was just straight up terrible. I'm just going to be honest. A million flaws with it, and I think we saw that play out with how that ended. But I think going to average finish is going to be a much better system, and it also makes it where technically in theory you can't lock up the championship after like 3 tournaments, which would kind of be dumb. That didn't happen last season because of how it played out. But again, it still was a very flawed system. But I think it's going to be exciting, more exciting to look at going into the season. I know I'm working with the stats team. We're going to have a live tracker of the class championship on the public stats sheet, so people can look at that, how that's going. Again, the average finish is going to be the only component to determine the class champion. If there's a tie in average finish, there's going to be one tiebreaker, and that's the best finishing position. And if that's tied as well, then you're going to be co-champions. So we'll see if that comes into play, but if not, being consistently good is going to be the biggest key to success in terms of winning your class. So, going to be interested to see how that plays out for everyone.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Obviously, the same 4 classes you love and know: Legend, Master, Veteran, Rookie. But we do have a new class, Novice class. We'll talk about that when we get to the entry list. But before we get to that, there are some now changes to the system. One of the biggest changes we had was Charles Stanford. I want to shout at him. Class performance clauses, and there's a couple new grandfather clauses. So basically, if you win Super League or you win the regular season championship, respectively, the Super League champ, 3 years. So Yepes, he won 23, 24, 25. His Super League champ, as long as he stays in D1, right? He'll be there until 2020. He'll be a legend until 26. Now, actually, you might think, well, KT, she won both. Well, we're not giving 5 years. That's crazy. But it just takes whatever precedes that. So she won last year, 24. She'll be here until 27, and then we'll reevaluate. But she'll always be a legend. Same with Yepes. Peter won 2023 March. His expired. His clause expired. And then, of course, I won 2024 March. My clause expires at the end of 25, so I'm still a legend this year. And they'll be reevaluated, of course. Now, Tago, he won T5, but remember, it wasn't a major, so he technically is not in this clause system. But starting this year, if you win T5, you also get a legend status for the preceding year. That's something to know. 10 authentic win seasons. So that means no DQs, no tomfoolery, right? 10 authentic wins, you improve 1 level. So let's say you won 10 games as a rookie, you're moving up to at least a novice, right? But realistically, let's face it. If you win 10 games as a rookie, you're probably moving up to a master. Very likely. Top 5 average in a finish in a season. That's a double level. So let's say if you're already a legend, don't worry about it. But if you're a rookie or a novice, then you get another level up, right? Maybe it might be 2 levels. If you play in the relegation, you drop a level. That's kind of interesting, G, because if you play in a relegation and lose, then you just don't even have you're in D2, right? There's no class. You just lose it. But if you do go to that level, let's say, and you go to play you have to drop 1 level. That's something to note. This next one's interesting. I think it's really good for the Masters and Legends that you can't have less than a 3-win season. Obviously, for that, there's no such thing as authentic on that. It just says less than 3-win season. So if you have 3 wins, you'll have to drop. But if you have 4 or more, you're good. Just keep that in mind. That's it. The rest I already talked about. Super League, the grandfather clauses, and then the other thing, the other entry clause was if you played 5 or more tournaments, you're automatically a novice or above, right? If you just play less than 5, so that's the new people that came up and 2 people will talk about, you're a rookie. Sanford came up with this more, G. Obviously, you were a little bit a part of it, but your thoughts on these? I think these are great changes. It's just we're trying to get the subjectivity out of the game. That's been a big problem with this league in the past. It was all subjective. Now it's out of the game. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's not fully out of the game because, again, you still have to consider Super League, but
Right.
I think trying to eliminate some of that subjectivity is good. I think that's going to be a slow process as we go forward, but yeah, I think having an outlined list of clauses to definitively move up a tier or move down a tier and whatnot, I think is good. I know you're mentioning rookie specifically. Rookie's kind of like a weird case, though, because, I mean, if you finish all 5 tournaments and assuming you're not demoted, I mean, you technically do move up because you can only be a rookie. If you finish the season, you technically aren't a rookie anymore. But besides that one, I mean, I think it's going to be more out. I think it's just outlined in general for people who, like, are, example, a novice class, which is replacing sophomore class. That like want to be a veteran or something like that, and they're like, how can I move up per se for next season? So I think having that outlined is going to be really helpful and going to be good for a lot of players who are looking to rise up the ranks here or the classes as we go forward.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I can't wait for it. It's a new change. It's rewarding a little consistency. It's rewarding what you expect in a class championship. I can't wait for it. Now let's get to those class changes, and obviously, Handy Danny Shear, I want to thank Cody Lamas who makes incredible graphics. By the way, guys, as you listen to this podcast, G, you kind of can help us out a little bit, but we have a new batch drop. Every podcast will have a batch drop. I believe Cody said this will be the March one, and then I think when we talk about Super League or something, he'll make a new one. But every tournament theme will have a batch drop. This is basketball theme. It's got the scoreboard behind my name, I'm pretty sure. No, the scoreboard is behind G.
It's behind my name, actually.
Yeah. I'm lighting the scoreboard up behind G's name right there. So every time I light up, I'm dunking on him. And then when he scores, he's done. I'm joking. But I had a little joke in there. It's getting close. But no, all joking aside.
That would be funny if we had like a toggle to like actually update the scores on the scoreboard as this was going on. That'd be great. But
every time we talk, we get 2 points.
Yeah, right now it's eternally 24-44. So yeah,
we don't know who's winning. We don't know who's winning.
The red team is winning, whoever that is.
I
don't know.
I get
the rookie class. I don't know. that's red.
But no, well, we got a little fun. Usually the first episode, got a little fun. All right, let's get to it though. Here we go. So the big changes here. Obviously, we'll start it off with that, as you've aforementioned, rookie class. You know, this is part of the rule we talked about, right? M and Eric Monica. Well, they didn't play in all 5, right? M. I'm probably not going to discuss M. M is an interesting case. Eric's they're interesting people. Let's just call it like it is. They're going to be grouped with the rookies, so that will be the following people, the people that got promoted. Steven, who is the only guy to have D1 experience in Super League. Camaro Man 55, that'll be interesting. Knight got promoted. Goldie, Jenna, Hockey late promotion gone, and a lot of people are interested in background character. That's the rookie class. I'm going to have to fly through this one, G. It's a long one. Novice class is the biggest class. And the one highlight I'll say about that, G, only one guy's got a medal, and it's Andreas Allen. He's got the old bronze medal from T5, Space September. The following goes as follows. We got H. Brian. Brian, he got demoted from veteran. Ellison got demoted. No, not Ellison. Rogers got demoted. Excuse me, Austin Rogers. He got demoted from Masters. Retro moved up. Mac demoted. He got demoted. He's now from veteran to novice. Zach got demoted from veteran. Nick moved up from rookie. Acosta, I believe, was a veteran. He's down in novice. Austin LaPlante moved up. Lee and Stingray all moved up. And then the other list on page 2 is the same thing. Logan moved up from a rookie. Drip, obviously, moved up from a rookie. Andy is now... Oh, that's right. Zay's name is now Andy. Changed in the offseason. No problem. You always change your name. Still same number, 648. You know him and love him. But he's also now moved up from a rookie to sophomore. Somehow Radin moved up. Crazy. He moved up.
I mean, he played in all 5 tournaments.
Yeah, that's all we can ask for, right? And Larry, he participated. Larry MGR, they were automatically sophomore, so they just stay in the same class, just renamed. It's not novice. Veterans class, once again, same thing as the novice class. Only one guy has a medal. That's Lane, obviously from T4, ironically. Where probably one of the more controversial medals because he could have been in the final. But Lane, the only guy, he moved up from... No, he actually stayed the same. I think he stayed the same way. He didn't... No, he was. I don't even. No, he wasn't sophomore. Lane was a sophomore, so he moved up. DJ moved down from master. Ghost moved up from sophomore with Carson and Bowtie. They were a trio that moved up. Mitch stayed the same. Seth Cole moved up from softs. Kev Shear moved up from softs. Abion moved up from rookies at the 2-class jump. Dark took a step down from master. Ed moved. Ed stayed the same. Monkey's been here since the start in veterans. He's almost a lifer. And Toaster guy from rookie, two steps up from the rookies. And then the other 2 classes you had to go off of. Masters, probably one of the more competitive classes. Varigold, down from Legend. Nam, he was all the way up from rookie to Master. Yoshi moves up from Veteran to Master. Cody, a staple in the Masters class. Arya dropped from Legend, but a little bit different. Arya didn't play last season, so she kept her spot D1 thanks to a vote. She'll go down 1 level. We'll see how she does in her 2nd season now. Peter also from Legend. G also from Legend. They debut again in the Masters class. They resurface. Brock, probably a big name. We all know and love. He moves up from rookie to Master. Probably should have been a Master all along. We all know that. Clay Wolf obviously moved up from Vet to Master. Fan favorite, I would say, right? What were they? G-Ard. Keycheck Ard, Pro Check. Moving down from Legend to Master. We'll see how he does. Vapors last year, 25. He also moved up from Vet to Master. Caesar, a staple, moved up, but he didn't move up, but he changed his number to 28. That'll be something to note. Winningest player of all time without a Super League appearance. And then Chapman, who moved up from rookie to master. And lastly, the Legends class, which is the most stacked class in my opinion. We started off with the World Champ Ashley from, of course, rookie, quote-unquote rookie, to Legend. Brad, same thing, quote unquote, rookie to legend. I've been here since the start. Tapir changed his number to lucky number 13 as he goes up from rookie. Of course, the legend, Cap as well. Rookie to legend. Of course, Captain T2 winner. Tapir T4 winner. Me T1. Brad T3. Ashley World Champion. Yepes Super League 23. And, of course, T4 2023. The legend stays with it. And then a new legend, we hard to believe, these next three people. JT moves up from Master to Legend. Of course, he was the Super League runner-up. Christian
Good season last year.
Great season. We'll talk about him in a minute. Christian Tago, another great season for Chris Tago. He moves up from Master to Legend. And I think this one should have already been a Legend. Sanford, I mean, he should have been one from last year, but we made the change. Probably the only one we missed. He's now up to a Legend as the most career starts and most wins. So that, you get all that? I hope you fans got all that, because now we're going to make some predictions. And to go off, well, first before we get to prediction, your thoughts on the change. Obviously, I guess we'll start with me. I've been in the Legend class since I was born in this league, really. It's stacked. It's very stacked. I don't think me and Yepes are just going to run away with it like last year. These tournaments are probably going to be to the Final Four and Elite Eights, where we'll start crowning a champion individually. This is going to be a stacked class. There's a lot of egos. I know Art mentioned it. Yes, you look at the Legends class, there's a ton of egos. There's some of the biggest egos in the sport are in the top of the class. So I'm interested. What's your thoughts on dropping on a match? I think the competition will be interesting. Got a lot of people you know. Art's there. Gold joins you. Arya. Peter, thoughts on that?
I think Masters class is going to be the one I would watch out for more than most. I think there's at least 6 or 7 people who could win this class specifically that I would keep an eye out for. But I'm looking through this specifically. I think it's interesting how it kind of all fizzles out because, I mean, in terms of game records, you have Legends with all solidly winning records for the most part. Masters class has mostly winning records. Veterans a mix of winning records, some losing records, and then even novice has a like a lot of losing records specifically. And then of course the rookies are most of them are 0-0 because they haven't played yet in D1. So I think how that fizzles out is interesting. I actually think that kind of adds more emphasis on us getting it right specifically with how that plays out. But I think that'll be really interesting. It'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. I keep saying plays out. I apologize.
You're good.
But I think it'll be interesting to see how everything works out in specific for each class, because I think for the most part, a lot of these people are pretty well together in terms of where they currently are at the moment. And I think the game record definitely shows that for the most part. So we'll see how everything goes. But I'm pretty excited for a lot of these class championship battles that are going to be happening alongside the fight to get into Super League.
Well, gee, you look at this. Now we'll go into the class championship. This is a hard one to predict. I had a struggle with this. I'm going to start it off with the rookies class. Man, I went back and forth between two people, but ultimately, I really think background character is going to get it done. It was between background character for me, and I actually went with Jenna. I thought those are the two people to look out. But I think background character obviously becoming a strong, formidable opponent in D2. We saw what he did last year. He's probably a safe bet to a lot of people. I know he could be a popular Super League, I guess, bubble burster when we get to that in a minute. I think background character's ready. He's got a unique style to the game. I know he's had a lot of problems with scheduling, but I feel like 90% of his scheduling issues weren't his fault. So we expect that to be ironed out. He won't be a DQ merchant like Monkey or something. I think background character's unique style where he draws back a lot, tries to push the pace when he can, and play a little bit more percentage. Who knows what the new bot wants. I'm going background character for my rookies. Lock it in. G, who do you got for rookies?
You mentioned her before. I actually have Jenna. I think obviously she didn't win the D2 championship or even come close. She technically came 7th, but I think her run from the LCQs to the D2 championship really showed something in terms of the D1 player mentality that you need to succeed. And I think she's one of these players here who comes in the right state of mind to be able to make a run. So while D2 is kind of a little bit iffy at points at times, I think with how D1 works and the more straightforward focused mindset that a lot of people have, I think she's going to be suited to do very well, and I actually see her having a really great season. So give me Jenna for the rookie class, but I think this is another class that could be a bit competitive because I think there's a lot of there's a few inner rivalries in this class as well. So we'll see if any of those play out during the season.
Yeah, Gone. He did very good. Obviously, you never know with the likes of Eric and M. You never know.
Camaro can randomly pop off.
Yeah. Camaro could pop off. You never know about hockey, what hockey will do. Goldie's a sleeper. There's a lot of names in here you will have to watch out for. This next class, though, I just couldn't make a case for anybody other than Andreas Vintage Allen. I don't know. To me, this is just it was between, for me in my heart, it was between Allen and Drip. But when Drip got a lot going on in his life, I think the writing's on the wall. Allen is going to fix his issues. I know he's been having a lot of problems lately. But from what I understand, what he's told me and Caesar, he should be fixed by April. Or at the very least now, it could be late March. That should be T2. I don't think you need to be on it for every tournament because this class is just wide open. If you're on it for 4 out of 5, it's probably good enough. I don't see anybody else that can make a run other than Allen. Maybe Drip, maybe Stingray. ALP's a crackhead, but I just think the writing's on the wall, G. I think Andreas Allen's going to take this one. Maybe we won't see him pop off in March, but as the season gets on, he fixes those issues in real life. I'm going Allen all the way. What do you say, G?
I mentioned this before, but the novice class actually has a lot of losing game records. There's only 3 people who are at 500 or above, and that's Allen, Andy, and my pick, Stingray. Stingray's kind of been a weird case because I think there's been moments where he's been really good, but then there's also been moments where he's completely fizzled out and, lost the narrative pretty much. What version of Stingray we're going to get remains to be seen, but I think Stingray could be up for a bounce back season. And I think with this class being a little bit anti-competitive right now, not really a lot of names that stick out. I think Stingray could kind of jump ahead of the pack and kind of steer his way to winning this class, especially with average finish being the determinant there. So even if it's not like great season, like even if it's just like round 32s, round 16s, that definitely could help out a lot. Because I see a lot of these novice people being first round exits, and I think there's going to be a few of them that could be in that relegation talk. So we'll see how it all plays out for that. But give me Stingray for novice class. This one's a little bit tricky because I think there's like only 3 or 4 feasible contenders right now, but I think you could make a case for any of those 4, and you could also be iffy about any of those 4.
Also, probably some sleepers. Yeah, I know you were high on Nick last year. We'll see what he can do as a bounce back. You can never. I'm sorry, you can never count this guy out. Pat Johnson. How many times have we said Pat Johnson, Game 7? I mean, if he just flips those Game 7s around, he's in it. He can have an 8-9 win career. He's always in the mix. Sleeper could be Acosta if he turns it around. Actually, can get the bot to work in his favor. You never know. Andy could be new, right? There's a lot of crazy scenario. Lara MGR. But I think Sting and Allen, I think those are my 2 for sure. I would agree. If I had to pick Allen, Sting, and then maybe ALP would be a 3. You got to watch. So I think we're about in the same ballpark. This next class, though, this one was really tough for me because it was down to Lane and Ghost. Will Lane run it back? I really think so. I like the way he's been interviewing. I like the way he's been handling things. He's been playing with house money. Yes, he didn't have the best Super League, but is really sweeping someone 6-0 a bad Super League for your first time? No. He actually had a decent season, a decent Super League. He kept his momentum. I really think it's between Lane and Ghost. I know DJ's stepping down. Toasty could always be a wild card. Who knows with Abion's +2 control. I'm going to go Lane. I think he gets it done T5. He'll clutch out at being on average finish over Ghost. But those are my 2 guys. I think it's going to be Lane Ghost show. Once again, similar novice. There's some names, but I'm still thinking Lane. What do you think, G?
I'm just going to say this. Keep an eye out on Seth Cole during this season. He showed some really good flashes last season, and I mean, he came, in terms of, if this was based off average finish, he came decently close to winning this, and I think he's someone who knows how to consistently make it out of the first round and beyond. So I'm feeling good about Seth Cole for this one. I mean, he's 37-38, so that is a losing record overall, but he's shown some flashes of brilliance in the past, and I think he could definitely expand on that this season. He was decently close to making Super League also. He was in the top 20, so I really think someone you have to watch out for in this class is Seth Cole, and that's going to be my pick to win a Veterans class. But I don't know. Again, this is another one that could go a few ways. I mean, you could mention Toasty, who made Super League last year. Definitely could have a good run. Monkey, the residential veteran class player, could maybe pop off and just, I don't know, go crazy. Myth showed some flashes last season. Maybe you could give him a nod as well. Bowtie had a good end to the season as also, so maybe him. But yeah, I think there's a few more contenders here, but I think this one's a little bit gray in terms of who comes out on top specifically.
Well, gee, we went from gray to I don't know now. Now it gets really tough because we're getting into these crazy competitive classes.
Yeah.
I,
I'm
I
gonna
to me it was
I'm gonna say this
yeah.
for
Go ahead.
veteran. I think you can make a case for nearly everyone in this class to win. Like maybe there's only like two or three people I'd struggle to make a case for to win this class, but I still think this is gonna be the class that's the most competitive this season.
Oh yeah, yeah. Veteran can be very competitive. Oh, you mean veteran or master? Because master's going to be
Master,
very good too.
master. Did I say veteran?
Oh yeah,
I meant master. I meant master.
yeah. I was going to say no. This is probably the number one class. It's hard to pick, and I'm going to kind of explain. I think Varigold will bounce back. I don't know too much about Yoshi right now. Cody's my boy. I love him, but for a class champ, I don't know if he's going to care so much. So it came down to either Nam, probably the perennial favorite in my humble opinion. I know you may not agree. I think Nam is the perennial favorite deep down. I know what he can do. Caesar, and then kind of a homer pick here, Peter Onjak. You would think I would have said Art. Art, I don't have any case for. As much as I love to make a case, I don't have one. I went with Caesar, man. This is a tough call because this is kind of my underdog special. I really think Caesar's ready. He's had such a crazy offseason of helping the league out. I know he hasn't been to Super League, but he's always there at the end for class. This is a class champions. It's not about Super League. It's just getting that average finish. He's not a guy to lose round one or two most of the time. He's usually a round three or bust. I think because of that consistency, a lot of these other guys can go up or down. I'm going to go Caesar here. It's going to be close, but I think really there's only two or three. I couldn't make a case for my boy Ard. Couldn't even make a case for my boy Clay. I love Clay, but I don't know, right? I can't make a case for, unfortunately, Yoshi. I think he really should be a veteran, but remember Eli not being there, put him up there. Arya is just a complete unknown. We have no idea. Peter, I made a case as a homer pick, but I'm going to go Caesar here, G. I think his style is just too consistent to get those average finishes. I think he'll bounce back as well. I'm going to go Caesar here. It takes the nod. What do you think?
I know someone who's gonna be very happy with that prediction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I look at this field and there's just a lot of contenders that throw out. I mean, you mentioned a lot of them already, but I mean, I think Brock is someone you have to give a potential nod to as well. He's someone who could do well. He had a really great end of the season last year. Lamas can kind of do well. I don't think he had a great season last year, but I mean, he's definitely capable of going far. Um, and I mean, again, you throw Caesar out there. He's someone who's generally consistent and knows how to get the job done in terms of round one. And sometimes that could just be the key to winning this, if with the average finish being the main component here. Because I mean, the difference between getting out in round one and round two is pretty significant, especially if like you do poorly in both rounds. Like that's like a 64th place finish to a 32nd place finish. That's a huge difference when it comes down to it for average finish. But the person I'm actually picking is Chomik.
Ooh.
And I think for Chomik, he showed a lot of great stuff last year in terms of knowing how to make it far in tournaments. And I think that's going to be something he tries to lean on he lean on more this year. I know he has the skills to be able to make it far. I think he could definitely go out and win a tournament this season. And I think as long as he stays consistent, avoids any round one exits, I think he'll be set up very well to take this the Masterclass Championship. So I have Chomik in this one, and I have him having another good season, especially with how disappointing the season ended last season with the TQ loss in the quarterfinals.
Especially with the Super League DQ. He's going to be more fired up than probably everyone here in this class. And like I said, I want to keep him on. We don't know what Arya is going to do. I know we didn't mention him, but Vapor's last year is his rise of now. It's confirmed his last year in 2025. There could be some changes to his schedule in 26, but as of this moment, 2025 is his last year. He'll go out with a bang, and we'll see. We'll see what Yoshi and Art. I think Yoshi and Art have to be considered underdogs. Gee, I hate to say it, as much as I like my brother Art, but he's had such a rough time. He's getting the maturity down. But can he actually get the results? That's the key. We know he's good in round one. Yoshi's another guy good in round one. Sometimes struggles in round two. We'll see what they can do as underdogs. And lastly, the Legends class G. Obviously, we try to avoid picking ourselves on the show, so I didn't pick myself, of course. I wouldn't even pick myself anyway for this because I'm not a guy to really go crazy with the system. This was tough. This came down to two people. It came down to probably the two people I have a lot of respect for. It came down to Ashley and Brad. I flipped a coin. I'm just going to go with Ashley. I think she'll play all 5 tournaments. That's one thing. That's another problem, too. We've never seen her play a T4. She had the best average finish in the rookie class. Should have actually won the tournament, won the rookie class last year, but we gave it to Superior over some stuff. I think she until there's a day where she doesn't make an Elite Eight and doesn't have any distractions because she only had one. What? Only she never lost round one, right? Her worst finish in her career is 29th. It's the safe bet. Brad is another one, but the problem for Brad I find is he wants to build up momentum. He could struggle a little bit in T1 and 2 maybe this year, but he builds it up in T3, 4, 5. Sanford, it's Charles Sanford, man. Does he care about a class? No, he cares about Super League. I mean, and with that, I think he's going to play the system. I think the one player, in my opinion, that just doesn't care about the system is Ashley. She'll just want those medals and trophies and go out there for rings. I think she starts it off with a bang and March goes really well and goes on from there. I'm going to go Ashley here, wins the Legends Class Championship. What do you think? Safe bet, G, or you got something different?
I mean, I think that's a safe bet, but I do have something different here. I'm going to go with Tapir, and I think this really comes down to him being able to know how to consistently get very far in tournaments. He did have a round of 64 exit last year, but that still did not deter him from having one of the best average finishes of the season with a clean 15, which is really good compared to the rest of the field. So I think Tapir, assuming he could definitely have another great season, he'll really be a contender to win this class, and I think he'll be the one who comes out on top. I think Ashley's going to have another good season, but will it be as good as last year? I'm not quite sure. I mean, KT, you'll probably be in contention, but I think there's a few things that are kind of like holding you back in terms of how to win this class championship. I think average finish is one of the biggest components of that. Yepes, who technically won the class championship last season, he's going to be going for vengeance here after missing Super League. I think he's someone you got to watch out for. And then, I mean, you have Tago, yeah. Captain Turner. Captain is a very, very very much a wild card, no pun intended, in terms of how he does. He could very much go to the finale and also get out in the round of 64, so I have no idea how that average finish is going to look like. And then Turner. I mean, Turner had a really good average finish last season, but will he have as good of a season last year? I don't think so. I think he'll have a slight decrease in performance here, but we'll see how he does. So, yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But for me, Tapir, I think, is the one that sticks out the most in terms of someone who can maintain consistent success and be on top of this class specifically. Because I think for this class, especially this season, you're probably going to have to at least make consistent Sweet 16s to have a good shot at winning this thing.
Obviously, no love for Sanford, but we all know Sanford's end goal, and he would admit it too. It's not a class championship. It's get back to Super League and try to play the system. Yeah, that's just Charles Sanford. Tago would be interesting. We'll see. He could be one. It could be hit or miss as well with average finish. But let's move on, G. Super League format city. Well, we're going to start with the city. You know, when we did this, we were down to a couple cities. So it was down to Cairo, Egypt. That was you, I believe, was the one. Tokyo, Japan, which was Zach's. Beijing was Sanford. And I believe Kuala Lumpur was me. We went with Caesars, Bangkok, Thailand. That is crazy because you think, oh, it's KT's pick, Homer pick, right? Well, if you look geographically, G, the only person you would legit say has some type of home field advantage would actually not be. I'm not there. I've only had part of it. I'm part of the Thai nationality, but it'd be Abi. He's right there, Indonesia. So he's the one guy you think coming in. Okay, he's right there. He's gonna feel a different type of energy moving forward, right? The format, though, what's the format? Well, a couple changes to the format. First off, no D2 player. Right? We don't have no D2 champion. The real reason why for that is two. Pacing is one thing, for sure. But let's say Fitzwater or Aiden Smith destroy D2. Well, we don't think it's going to happen, but if they win the D2 championship, God forbid, and then they come up as a D1 champion, right, or they come as D2 champion into a D1 Super League where they just got kicked out, it would feel very weird. It'd feel very awkward. So that's why we just got rid of it deep down. The scheduling and the pacing, okay, that's part of it, but it's more that's the reason why we don't have a D2 champion. We'll discuss that when I go to G here. The best of 8, I feel like G and I both discussed this in 20. It needed to be done. We both wanted the best of 8. Even Sanford, we were the 3 head honchos back then. We all had agreed we needed the best of 8 for Super League group stage. I think this is a better change in the future. Of course, it gives a little bit more of a flair. 16 people, by the way. So that's 5 tournament winners, and then 11 at large. 12 at large, 13 if we get repeats. And then for the round of 12, best of 9, we saw last year with no power play, best of 7. It really favored guys like JT too much, in fact. It favored guys that were more similar to that style where they can, like Brock, for example, like just play it. Fortunately, Brock didn't make the round of 12. But that, in my humble opinion, makes the game a little bit more different, where you have a little extra games, because then the Super League quarters and semis is best of 11s, right, with a power play as well. And then you move into the new best of 13 finale for Super League finale. That is basically the March one, but it's only and T5, but it's only 2 power plays instead of 3. It makes it a little bit different. It makes the game a little bit more, more strategic. I say you can't just rely on that crap anymore, but it definitely has a little bit of a flair. Different than the regular season, because best of 1 or a best of 11 only has 1 power play in Super League. It's 2 power play in a best of 11 for the regular season, so it makes it a little bit harder. You don't have to rely so much on power play. What's your thoughts on all these changes? I think the 2 biggest changes, in my opinion, are no D2, of course, champion. But the fact is, we do have a 16 structured field, and we do have a couple more games for the guys on Bye Island to have a chance to maybe regroup instead of just getting one and dones,
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on that, G?
I mean, yeah. It's
You came up with the graphic, by the way. Great graphic. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's gonna be interesting. I mean, best of 8 specifically. This was something we wanted. We had a decent bit of ties at one point, and we wanted to try to make ties more of an impactful moment. So I think that making a best of 8 is gonna help with that a bit. Gonna create more. I think it's gonna create more action for the groups as well, which I think is definitely one of the parts that a lot of people do like in terms of our current Super League format. In terms of the the bracket phase, I mean, we changed the round of 12 to be a little bit more fair for the people who are like the 5th, 6th seeds and the group stage people as well. But I think there's definitely still some flaws with the format. I think the long wait for the top 6, especially the top 4, is something that might need to be addressed soon. We don't necessarily have a fix or solution for this season specifically, but there could be a new format for next season to try to address this. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, we also saw that the 1 seed actually won Super League last year, so it also could be an advantage as well. But we'll see how it plays out. But again, the format's is in terms of the actual basics, the format's pretty much the same, but there's a few tweaks in there to make it a little better all around and to help increase the or improve the product. So going to be interesting to see how everything goes for this season's Super League and the fight to get into it, which I think will transition into our next topic, unless you have anything else to say.
No, it'll be good. It'll be good. Well, obviously, from a homer perspective, G, obviously, my history with the country. It's a lot of pressure. Listen, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. This is it, right? I may never get this again. This might be my only shot to win in Thailand. Obviously, I am from the U.S., so there's always that. But this might be the only chance I ever get to get a trophy in Thailand. It would be a special one. It would probably be. I think it'd be bigger than March. I think it would be. March was just special knowing that I beat Ashley because I knew how good she was. I brought her into the league. That was crazy. But it would be special if I can get it done. But it's a long road. It's tough, man. This is Super League. Anything can happen in Super League for a reason. So let's get to that. Top 16 this year. No D2 champion. I know last year we had that, but that's out. We'll start it off with G because I went first the last time the class chip. G, who's your 16? We'll see if we can compare and contrast.
All right. I mean, I think the biggest thing here was considering who was going to run it back, who isn't, who's going to pop out from, I guess, the mid pack compared to last season. I had a few interesting picks. I think I have 9 people running it back. I'll run through the people I have running it back first off. So I have Tago, Ashley, Captain, Tapir, Turner, Nam, and no, I actually only have 8, and Chomic running it back. So those are the 8 I have running it back to Super League. So 50% of the field. I know last year's predictions, we made a horrible mistake of thinking a lot of people would run it back. We were terribly wrong. So I don't think that's necessarily going to happen this season, but I have 8 of the 16 running it back, so that'll be 8 new faces coming into the fight, or maybe even returning faces. Maybe someone who made it 2023 but didn't make it in 2024 will come back into it. We shall see, but those are my 8. I mean, I feel like some of them you're going to agree with. Maybe some of them you'll have be a bit questionable on, but on what did you think on your side for your predictions?
Oh, God. I'm a homer, G. You know that. I think I have most of the field running it back. Ashley, Sanford. Yeah, KT, Brad, Nam, Tapir, JT, the captain, Tago's running it back, Brock's running it back, Lane's running it back, Giant running it back. So I think that's its grand total. Let's see who's not. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I got 12 out of the 16 running it back. But remember, I'm always a homer. You got to understand. I also put myself, right, that can always change. I'm not supposed to do that, but if it was any other country, I probably wouldn't do it. This one's special. I could not play. I have 4 new people. Not new, but new people, right, coming in. But a lot more consistency. Let's just go with that. There's a couple people I left out, though. So I have 12 running it back. Well, I guess we're going to have to go with you because you have half the field. It's more question mark. You guys kind of know who my field is. Go for it. Who are the 8 new people, G?
All right. Well, I mean, what I kind of hinted at this before the return. I think Yepes bounces back and makes it into the field this year. So I would keep an eye out for him. And then I talk about the mid pack, but we also talk about people who barely missed out as well. So I have Abian and Seth Cole making it as well. Seth Cole I did pick as the class champion, so that should be no surprise there. And then I think that's 11. So or is that 12? Yepes, Cole, Abian. Yeah. Okay. And then of course he was my class champion pick as well for novice. So give me Stingray. I have him in there, and then I picked one person from the mid pack to make it in, which kind of leads into a spoiler of my last 3 spots, but I have ALP making it, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
I think you always have to throw out one random name in there because I think there's someone that pops out of nowhere that no one was expecting on their radar going into the season. And for me, I'm picking ALP. This could be completely wrong, but I do think someone that no one's talking about is going to make it in to Super League this year. That I can guarantee. So ALP is going to be my wild card pick. So that'll leave me with 3. Do you want to go through some more of your picks, or the rest of them just kind of snubs from last season?
We both agree. We both agree on Yepes. Right? You said Yepes?
Yeah, I did say Yepes.
Okay. That was a no-brainer. I hate to say it, I got no rookies making it. 0 rookies. Probably going to be a bad points, but I just posted my list. I got one. I don't know if this is a real surprise, but Caesar should. I mean, he was my class. Caesar's got. I got to ride with Caesar. He's going to get in there. I guess this is the bold one, G. I know it's kind of bold this way we roll. I'm throwing Lamas in there. I know it's a homer pick. This is a KT homer. I understand. But I think Lamas is going to run it back from 23. I think he's got the new buy on his side. I'm going to go bold here. And then probably the biggest bold, I'm going Allen. Something about Andreas Allen, man. I guess I played him one time in my career. It was the sweep I did. Everyone seems to be hyped. The Allen train is running crazy. It'd be crazy to get him on board. So who I left out, I can't see Toasty making it back. I like the story. He's my brother and all, but I hope he proves me wrong. But that is a crazy style. We'll see. Ghost, I think, needs to work on his mistake game. I think he'll be on the cutoff line. I actually had him at 18, even though we don't have 17 through 20. He was close. Who else am I missing here? I'm only missing one other person, right? Who else made I didn't make it back? Oh, Steven. Well, Steven, that's no brainer. I couldn't put him in. And then DJ, I just think with his disastrous Super League, I couldn't do it. Brock I kept in. I think Brock is still a good dude, man. He still got that fade look. He's still got that good dude in him in terms of finding out the styles and conjunctions. I'm glad I put Brock still in. Lane I trust, and Chomik, of course, I think it's just gonna be too hungry. But yeah, G, I got every single legend making it. It's definitely a shock. It's not a shock, but I got every single legend making it.
I don't think that's going to happen. Respectfully, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to happen. I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rookies making it in, right? Or 5 Masters, 5, so that's 14. And then I only have one veteran and one novice. Now the veteran novice, okay, you could see one, understandable. Am I probably wrong on no rookies? Yeah, there probably will be one.
I mean,
But I
KT,
mean,
I'm surprised you have no rookies. There was 8 rookies in Super League last season, so
yeah, but they all moved up, right? I mean, it actually was a rookie again. I mean, I would do it, right? But they all moved up. The only one I had, the background, here's the problem, right? Background character would have been the one I would have picked, but there's just a lot of stories. I don't see a lot of guys falling off. Like I could be wrong. If there's one guy I'm not really sure about this on the list, I would actually throw Allen. He's probably the one guy. It's probably an outlier pick, and a rookie could come in there. But I don't know. I'm pretty confident we see a lot of run back. I don't know. I could be way off. That's what the preseason is, right? I mean, there was times. Did anybody have captain making it? No. I mean, no one did. I had Ashley in my second reiteration of it when we do this again T2 after T2, but realistically, this is not going to be right. That's the beauty of it, right? It's not supposed to be right. Will some of it be right? Yeah. But will most of it be right? No. For sure. But finish off your list. Go ahead.
well, I mean, I have 3 spots left. You picked 0 rookies. I picked 3. So,
Oh, man.
I have Jenna because I have her winning the class championship, and then my other 2 spots I have Goldie and background. I think both showed a lot in D2 last season that can lead to success in D1. Goldie especially. I mean, Goldie kind of slowly increased their stock over the course of the season. I think that's something very similar she could do in D1 as well. Maybe when it comes late to the season, maybe there could be some distractions that come in there that could hinder her a little bit, but I think she'll be okay for the most part and be able to kind of steer her way to a good season. And I think background, I think you just got to consider background in general. He was number 1 seed of D2 championship last year, was a 50-50 away from winning the D2 championship. So he's someone that I think people have to have eyes on as someone who can contend for possibly big things. I could see him make a Final Four this season and maybe do a little more with that as well. But I have 3 rookies. I think you're underestimating the rookie class. I'm not going to do that this season because we did that last season and that completely backfired in our face. And I mean, we've definitely seen these people play, and I think there's a lot of good stuff they bring to the table. But I have 3 rookies. That's my field of 16. Any thoughts on the 3 I picked for rookies?
No, I'm surprised you left the old man out, man. You leaving Uncle Sanford out? Charles Sanford?
I think there's too many distractions in real life. They very nearly cost him last season. I think it's going to get even worse this season. I just think it's going to be too much to handle.
That's a bold one. I'm not gonna. It's hard to leave Sanford out. I'm just. It's hard, but the rookies. No, I have no complaint because the Goldie was another one I was considering. But you gotta think. I don't know what the schedule is gonna be for her come the end of the year. If I get that schedule, once I get a year of data, background. If I had to pick one rookie, background would be it for sure. I think he is the best rookie in the class. I would have said Gone, but the problem for Gone is he told me his in real life is terrible. He's got like 5 exams coming up. I don't trust Steven. As much as I would like to see him maybe make a Elite Eight once, do I trust him? No. You're probably not even going to care about Eric and M anyway. I still think M, if she actually can schedule, will be cool to play with. I've seen her play. She's not a bad player, but is her scheduling going to be there? Probably not. Who am I missing? Camaro Man 55. That's my brother.
Camaro's a massive wild card. No one knows what's going to happen with him, to be
too
honest.
Wild. Hockey's a wild card. I couldn't do it. The novice class, you got ALP and Sting. ALP, can he get off the Sharpies? I mean, good Lord. If he can get off them Sharpies, then maybe. That'll be something with him. Stingray, I think, is going to be in the mix. I don't mind Seth if he makes it. Seth's a good dude. He's doing a lot for the league. He might actually have more reps with the people coming in with the stream game. He might know more people. Avian, as long as the +2 control is good, for sure, I think he can be in the mix. I think the only ones really decipher on G is just my. I know you're talking about the Goofy Goober squad. I guess it's the old VL squad of Caesar, Allen, myself, Lamas. I guess those are the only 4. A couple other people, some other omissions I just recall. I had Vapor as maybe a shock because this is his last year. Maybe he'll make a run. I had to leave Yoshi out. I mean, I hate to do that, but I haven't seen enough, right? I hope I'm proven wrong. Of course, I can't emphasize enough. It probably will blow up my face, but another guy seems to always shock me is Carson. He always finds a way to just sneak in sometimes. So he could be someone to watch. He's really good around 1-2. Tough to leave Ghost out. Like I said, I have a lot of respect for that guy, but he's got to clean the mistakes up. The rest, we'll see. It's so hard to pick. The field is tougher. But then again, last year, I made the mistake last year of picking, 2 rookies, 3 rookies. I got burned, right? So maybe we'll find a litmus test, right? Maybe there'll be 1 or 2 from each year, and we just got to find the average. And the next year, I'll pick 1 or 2. But I could change this. Remember, we are allowed to change this after T2, and if things are just terrible, we'll just change it. But we'll see. Are you probably right? Not all 9 legends are going to run it back? Yeah, you're right. You're more right than me. Is 5 Masters can run it? Yeah, I think 5 Masters can run it for sure. Absolutely. Any one of them can click off and pop off. You, obviously, Arya, Peter, even.
Actually, which I'm actually looking at this now, comparing my list. Which legends do I not? I don't have Sanford. I don't have Brad. I don't have.
Oh no, Brad! Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't have Brad. I don't have Tago, and I think that's it. So no Sanford, no Brad. Wait, do I have Tago? Oh wait, I have Tago at the top. No, never mind. I don't know how I missed that, but
yeah, no Sanford, Brad.
Sanford, Brad. I think that might be a. So I think I still have
Lamas.
7. Oh, Lamas. Is Lamas a legend? I thought he was a master.
No, he's a master. Well, the difference is I have Sanford, Brad. I have Lamas. I have. You don't have Caesar, right? No Caesar.
I do not have Caesar. I unfortunately think any second now is going to be another year. It's going to have to wait another year.
Allen is just a crazy pick, I think, on mine. But that's a fan favorite. Everyone seems to be rejoicing for Andreas Allen. I don't know. That's a homer pick for a lot of the fans.
I think if Caesar gets out early, I'm very concerned for how Allen's going to do, because I feel like that's going to be a package deal for the most part.
Oh God. Well, we'll see. I mean, but like I said, with Allen, if he gets his life, it's going to be T2 through 5. I don't know if T1's going to be it, right? Because he's got a lot going on. But if he can get back to the old Allen I know, and Caesar knows him, there's optimism. That's kind of like how your wild card pick is Allen. My wild card pick is Allen. We'll see. I got to throw one in there, but I think you're eventually going to end with 1 or 2 rookies are probably going to get in. You're probably right. And if I had to pick, I would agree. If I had to pick one, I still think background's the player. There's no chance. I don't see a world. I don't want to say. I don't like saying things too pre-abruptly, but I don't see a world where he's going to have scheduling problems. I don't see it. We take good care up here. The only way he would have scheduling problems is if his in real life gets in the way. Then that's on him, right? But in terms of up here, we don't know how to not schedule a game. We know what we're doing, so we'll see. A good list, though. I like a little bit of diversity, I guess you call it. If you look at the countries, we got my list has Florida, California, New Jersey, Washington, Florida, Brazil.
My favorite
Michigan,
countries.
Brazil.
California, my favorite country. It's pretty much a country in this league. There's like 9-10 players.
Yeah, you might as well call it California. What was it, 12 people?
I mean, they were a country for 3 weeks a long time ago. So
wait, a captain from Latvia, JT from New York, Tago from New York, as I said. Michigan for Tapir. We've got, who else are we missing? Brock from Georgia, Yepez from Venezuela, Allen from now Delaware, Chami from China, and Lane from Bama. Yeah, I think we got a good mix. This league is pretty interesting. I guess for you, picking Abiyan, that's an oversight, right? He's going to be very fired up. He's right there. He would like to get it done because he's not too far away from Thailand. That's a good pick. I think if I had to replace 1-2 in my second walk, I'll consider him. He's going to be way more fired up than most because he knows this is his only chance, right? This could be his only chance to win it in Asia. So that's another thing too. You want to win in your homeland. Cap had a chance in Europe last year, but it was a little bit whole worlds apart because Latvia and Greece are 2 different places. It's very different in Europe. But anyway, let's go to the next topic before we head off. Good podcast so far. And the last topic is just general preseason predictions. I got 3 of them. So the crazy part is I actually think the first one I'll say is I'm going to say this from a league perspective. I believe we're close to. I want to say I think 10,000 games overall, I believe, in the league we played. I think we're going to hit over 10,000 games. I believe it'll be there. I think we're going to hit over 10,000 games in everything, right? Both divisions. I believe we're not going to break any records for the longest game this year. I believe the games are going to be a lot quicker. You're not going to see a lot of long, drawn-out specialists because a lot of them not in D1 anymore. That had moved to D2, so I don't think we're going to get anything drawn out. This has nothing to do with any people. This is just league predictions. I'm not going to do any people. I'll say that for the first episode. And the last league prediction, I will say, we will get someone at strike 3. But that's as far as
that's not a fun prediction. Oh my god.
I want to save the good stuff for the first actual episode. I got some really good stuff for the actual episode. But these are just general predictions. The people stuff, I had some fun stuff coming for March, the first day. This is a preseason episode. We also are a little time constrained because we have to do. I know you got to do something very quick, so I wanted to keep it brief. I have about 10 of them, but I don't want to take too much of my time, so we'll just do 3. You give me 3G, and then we'll call it a night. Then for March, I'll show you all my 10 for sure. Go for it. Just something quick.
Okay. I mean, for me, probably my first prediction is I think someone is going. Actually no. I don't think anyone is going to get a top 5 series length record this season. I honestly think a lot of the longer paced games are kind of dwindling down a little bit. So I don't see that happening. My second prediction, and this is not a specific player, but this is, I guess, a certain class. I think a tournament will be won by someone in the rookie class.
Cool.
So
Okay.
I'm going to throw that one out there. We'll see if that comes true. And then my third prediction is the novice class gets 5 out of the 8 relegation spots this season. I am not very high in the novice class. I think there's going to be a lot of people in that bottom echelon, and I think a lot of people in that section are going to be fighting to stay in D1. So I have a disastrous year predicted for the novice class, but we'll see how it all pans out.
You kind of spoiled one of my predictions. I think we go 5 for 5, G. A legend or master, 5 for 5. I'm going all in on legend and master this year. I think those 2 classes are now the strongest classes. The days of the rookies taking over is done. I know last year, what do we have? 5 out of 6 tournaments a rookie won. Or no, 4 out of 6, I think it was. I think Tygo and I were the only 2 to break it up as the 1 legend, 1 master. I think it's the opposite this year. I think 5 for 5 on regular season, legend or match. Super League, we won't know. It's hard to say. But I'll save the Super League final prediction when we get after T2 and make our revisions. But yeah, I'm going to say right now, Legend and Masters is the strongest class. I'm just going to ride with it. The only other one, I do have one small one. I think someone's going to pull a Yoshi. I had this one written down. Someone's going to pull a Yoshi and make a finale. I don't know who, but someone's going to pull a Yoshi, make a finale, but don't run in the Super League. It's going to be one of those what-if moments. Should I have won the finale? Someone's pulling a Yoshi. I don't know who, but someone's going to do it, and the rest I'll say. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a great season. And we have so many heads, man, from, 70 D2 players now, 64 D1 players. I know we can max out at 136, I believe is the limit, the all limit.
Yep.
All limit. I just can't wait, man. It's going to be a good year. A lot of more refs, a lot more excitement, a lot more stream content. I know D2 is getting an updated stream package, too, for the fans. And it's all ready to begin. What is it, G? When's the reveal show? 28 for you guys? 27?
29th for D2. For D1, wouldn't that be the day after, I think?
It's the day after, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we also have a couple other small things. We got Short with his pick'em. I want to shout that out. He's going to be doing a little pick'em thing. I know G can't stand the words I'm about to say. Uno Fantasy. But I know that project is...
Will it exist? Will it exist? That is the big question.
Yeah. That's kind of like we don't talk about that kind of Fight Club. We're going to talk about it. It will exist. It's going to be interesting. I don't know how it's going to play out. I'm not even going to set any expectations or goals. Normally I do, but I'm not going to. And what else? Oh, and G's got some special stuff, too, coming. Has something to do with the world. So we'll kind of tease that into the next episode. Can't wait to have that coming out. Enjoy Grimland. Enjoy the fans. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Pod, and probably our big base is going to be YouTube this year. We got a lot of fun stuff on YouTube. Now with the media team, I can actually dedicate more time to YouTube clips and shorts, so that's going to be fun. I actually have time to dedicate stuff now to actual stream content and get clips for the fans. So looking forward to that. Check us out. Thanks for a great offseason, guys. We still got a couple more weeks left, but see us next time. Will be episode 2. We're going to preview sometime next week the D2 February Flurry and the D1 March Madness Trophy. Who's it going to be? 2 majors now on the line. A whole host of characters. And what is it now? 134 people are set to do battle. But the goal remains the same. One dream, one road. We'll see you in Bangkok 2025. Who will be the one in 2025? See you then. Have a good night.